All right, hello internet. Now you're probably seeing this background here, thinking he's doing an unboxing, but it's already out of the box. So what are we doing today? Well, we had a lot of hits about the unboxing of this controller. This is an Edge Gamepad. Is put out by, let me put it close here, Interworks, and then over here you can see Emio. I think that's the company that actually produces it. Um, So did an unboxing. I talked about the buttons a little bit. Didn't really have anything out to compare it to, and I hadn't used it yet. Um, Now I've actually used it, and I got to say that, uh, and I used it on the Wii and the Wii U. I haven't used it on a classic. I haven't had the luck to happen upon a classic in the wild as of yet, um, and I'm not going out of my way and researching and seeing who's getting the next order and all that stuff. If I find one, I find one. If not, yeah, I'll find one at some point. So the turbos worked exactly like we thought. You have your select over here for A and or B and A, and whatever you select there will make this button act as the B or A turbo, not these two. Um, and then this function here acts as both these buttons pressed at the same time. I complained a little bit about the sharp edges here on the D-pad, but it really wasn't bad at all, surprisingly. So there was no real noticeable issue there. And it's got a fair amount of weight. And the other thing that was nice about this was the length of the cord. Yeah, we're still going. Still going. Still, we're tied up a little bit there. But yeah, so you've got quite a bit. 10 feet, 9 feet of cord here, or something like that. So having the classic cord so short, this is nice. But then again, that being said, the classic cord is short because on the front of the, I don't have one to show you, the front of the classic is actually you need the buttons to access the menus in the system, whereas having a cord this long, you'd have to get up every time anyway. So you better just get a longer HDMI cord as opposed to a longer cord like this. But this would be handy. Maybe you have a second player further down the couch who doesn't want to be right up against the console. Then something like this would make some sense. The other thing about this is I thought it was maybe like an online return because I saw it in the wild over at the local Walmart. And no, they've restocked it. Turns out this is a regular item over at the Walmart. And for $15, is the controller worth it? If you need one, yeah, because good luck finding an official controller. Now, if you don't have an NES Classic, is this worth it? Or even if you do have one, is it worth it if you want a second controller? And maybe you already have a Wii or a Wii U. Well, if you already have a Wii or a Wii U, you probably already have one of these bad boys. I haven't bothered to research to see if this works with the NES Classic. I'm sorry if this is blinding from the light. Let me just bring it a little closer. Yeah, size-wise is about the same. I actually don't enjoy using this controller that much. I was excited when they first came out, but then they came out with the Pro. Much more comfortable. It's a larger controller overall. It's just a better controller. Cords coming out at the right spot instead of the bottom. Just a better controller. Now, again, haven't used these with the Classic, so I don't know if they work. I think they do from what I read, but I could be confused. These have a short cord, but when you're using these on a Wii or a Wii U, you're plugging it into your Wiimote, which is wireless. So these just, of course, as you know, plug in there. And in the case of this, you don't need that cord length. I found it just got sort of in the way when we're using the Wii or the Wii U. That being said, did I game well with it? Yeah, I actually did better gaming with this on the old NES games and the virtual consoles. I think it's just maybe muscle memory. Now, to pull over, here we go. Sorry about the coloration. I haven't cleaned these with the chemical bath. So here's the original, and yes, original. Here's the third party for the classic. See, the sizes are exactly the same. Weight's pretty close. The button placement is just about identical. Yeah, a little stiffer, maybe just because it's newer than this one. But even, going back to these, holding an original, you'll find that the edges are a little sharp. The controller, the D-pad I should say, is a lot less squishy. The buttons are super sensitive, where you can hear that. Putting it to my microphone. They actually feel like they stick a little bit, but I didn't notice that impact the gameplay at all. But it was, more like an audio, I didn't like that. Now, what I would have liked to see is possibly Nintendo come out with a couple other options. Classics, collectors who maybe have an upright NES, or maybe even one of these dog bone drums. Again, sorry about the discoloration. Notice the buttons are now here on a slant. It's a little bit more ergonomic, no more sharp edges here. Button here, even though it stands out a little more rounded. This is definitely a little smaller, but a more comfortable controller. And then the back, as you can see, is rounded a bit. So that would be cool to see Nintendo come out with as an option. And then, just because I said why not, let's just play this game. Anyone ever see one of these? Probably not if you're a young guy. Again, really compact, but buttons are at an angle again. You have your turbos. Nothing fancy, just push the button and that's your turbo. And they're kind of angled here so you can hold it real nice. Fingers kind of come around if you've got big hands like me. So that's the max. We need to see Nintendo coming out, since they're controller obsessed anyway, coming out with a couple other options. So again, going back to, did it help my gameplay? Maybe, just because of muscle memory and I'm an old ass gamer. And would it help a newer guy? Someone who's young to the gaming, who's never held an NES controller? I'd say if you can use one of these with your game instead, you're probably going to be a lot more comfortable. More ergonomic, angled buttons, just a nicer roll to the D-pad. So if you can use that as an option, I would recommend that. But they don't make them anymore, so you'd have to buy them, maybe eBay, something like that, Amazon. You can get them used. I got mine used, but they're just even used. They're about the same price as getting one of these third-party jobs. But I find it to be more useful because you're not just playing NES. Now you can play whatever you want. Whether it be Wii U, Virtual Console, whatever it is. So, yeah, yay for being accurate down to the button placement. Overall feel of the controller is nice. The weight's good. Got a long cord. It's good. These turbo buttons, you're probably never going to use these buttons up at the top. They're just awkward. Great if you're going to be the second player, I would assume. Again, $15, I'd say go for it. It's not a bad buy. But if for $15 you can get, or less, one of these, I'd say get yourself a Wii Pro controller. Shorter cord, but that really shouldn't matter. If you really want a longer cord, there's extensions out there. So there's a bit of my mess. All right. So hope that was helpful. If not, I'm sorry. Have a good night.